How do you install EG4's solar window air conditioner? This is a window unit, and this window unit is not like most window units where they run off the home's power, AC power, the grid power. This one can also use PV power. So during the hottest parts of the day, when the sun is shining, we can use that sunshine to power our window unit. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to install this window unit in this window. I'm going to show you the app. I've got a way to monitor the electricity usage so we can see how much this is going to cost when we're not using PV, and does this really run off of the sun. You're watching Taddy Digest. I'm Tad. Let's go. When you order the solar window type air conditioner that EG4 makes, it's going to come in a box that looks like this. And with that air conditioner, you're going to have something super important, which is your installation manual. Definitely read this manual before you start the install. It's going to come with side curtains. You need those. It's going to come with some EVA foam. Super important. Some gray adhesive seal. Black foam seal. Solar connector wrench, a little bag that contains some brackets, drain plug, MC4 connector, rubber seal, and some screws, a remote controller, wireless remote controller with 2 AAA batteries, a holder for that wireless remote controller, and a top rail. How big is this window type air conditioner? What's the dimensions? Will it fit in my window? So the width of this is 19 inches. So it's not that big. It's 19 inches wide. It is 14 and a half tall, almost 14 and a half. And then the depth is about 2 foot. So yeah, it's about 2 foot. So yes, it will fit in your window if your window is more than 19 inches wide. If you got a 2 foot wide window, it's gonna fit. You got a 3 foot wide window, it's definitely gonna fit. To begin the install, we need to install the top rail on the top of the air conditioner cabinet. You can see there's 4 screw holes right here. Those 4 holes need to line up with the 4 holes that are on the top rail. So the top rail lines up with those 4 holes. Then we take the bag of screws, and there are 4 screws that we want to install. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're the smaller ones. Get a Phillips screwdriver or a Phillips bit and a drill. Look at that. Now we're going to install all 4 of these screws so that we then attach the top rail to the cabinet of this window type air conditioner. Now we're ready to install the side curtains. So a good thing about the side curtains is that they are labeled. So this one says left and this one says right. So if you're looking at the front of the window air conditioner, the one that says right is going to go on the right side. So how do we do it? We take the curtain, we slide it out. I would angle it like this and then slide it into that little rail or that bracket. That bracket holds it. Once you get it all the way in there, then you can slide the housing into the rails. There's a top rail and there's a bottom rail underneath. There we go. You may have to go down here and push a little bit. And then we can slide the top and bottom housing into these rails. And there's our side curtains installed. Now we're ready to install the adhesive seal. So we can open up our window and we can take and cut this seal. And then we can take it and apply it right here. And this is going to provide a nice seal for that window unit. Super simple to install. Cut it right here. And just like that, look at that. Now it's time to place this window unit inside the window. If you've got another person that can help you set this in the window, that's what I would do. This is 66 pounds and it's better to have another person help you. That way you don't end up with some catastrophe and your window unit falls out your window outside. That would not be good. So now, take this window unit. We want it to be centered, and this is just about centered. When you get it where you want it, we're going to take and lift it up, and we're going to slide the window unit back until our curtain is inside that window. And once we get that inside the window, then I'm going to take and lower that window to where it's behind the rail. And there it is. If you don't get these curtains inside the window, chances are you're going to have a lot of angle and your window unit's going to look like this. You don't want it to be like this. If we look outside, which we'll look in a minute, our window unit's like this, not like this. All right, now, got everything in place. It looks good. It's not going anywhere. Now we can slide our curtains out. Look at that. Look at that. That is very, very good right there. I love it. Beautiful. Once you get the window unit in place, then you can use a sash lock and a frame lock that's included with the window type air conditioner. This is the sash lock, and these are the frame locks. And there's two different types, one for a wooden window and one for a vinyl clad window. The frame locks go down here. The sash lock goes up here. And then there are pre-drilled holes for each curtain, so you can screw that curtain into the window. You can install a screw right there, and that will hold the top rail to the window and make it more secure. Now we can install the EVA foam. How do we do this? You might want to take measure to measure the area of the curtains. Once you find out how big you need to cut the EVA foam, just get some scissors, cut out the EVA foam, take the backing off, and stick it over the curtain. This is going to help us add insulation to that curtain. It's going to minimize the amount of leaks that we have and help with thermal loss. Now we can install our foam seal. Do not forget to install this. You can see up here there is a gap, and we want to close that gap up. So how do we close it up? We take this and we install this up here against the glass to close up that hole. Now I'm not going to install it because I'm going to be taking this window unit back out, but you can see how we would install it. You'll notice the window unit's wireless remote controller has a button that says heat, but this button does nothing. This button is unused. This 12,000 BTU, 1 ton, cooling only window unit doesn't have a heat operation. It's cooling only. So if you see that button and you think, wow, it has heat too, that's actually incorrect. It just uses the cooling button because it just has cooling mode. Now that we're ready to power this thing up, I can plug this into my home's receptacle and I can use the grid, I can provide AC power, or I can install the solar panels. Let's go plug up the solar panels and talk about how many we need. Here's our window unit outside the window. Here's where we install our PV wiring into these two MC4 connectors. You'll need to use this tool to actually take the caps off of the MC4 connectors. So, just like that, super simple. And then, look at that. Now we've got the protective caps out of the MC4 connectors. Now we can plug in our PV wiring. So here is our positive, and here is our negative. It is labeled and it is polarity sensitive. It says right there, PV plus, PV minus. So negative, positive. Here's my PV string. There are 4 solar panels right here. They're in series. We never want to tie strings in parallel, always in series. This is 4 400-watt panels totaling 1,600 watts. Now, how much do we really need? The rated input cooling wattage for this window type air conditioner is 1,150 watts. That means we at least need 3 400-watt panels equaling around 1,200 watts. That's what's going to help that unit to perform correctly when we actually turn it on to the cooling mode. But what do I recommend? I recommend much more wattage than that. I would add a fourth 400 watt panel, even a fifth or maybe a sixth 400 watt panel. As long as we keep those strings in series and we make sure that we do not go over the VOC, then we'll never have an issue with the MPPT built inside that window type air conditioner. We're not worried about the current, we are worried about the wattage, and we're worried about the voltage. We have to have enough wattage for performance, and we cannot have too much voltage, otherwise we could damage the MPPT in that window unit. Here's how we install the drain plug. We take out this rubber plug, we take this rubber seal, put it over this part of the drain plug, and then install the drain plug by turning it. Now it's secured. Now if we want to drain away the water to somewhere specific, we can attach a tube right here, run that tube where we want. For this window type AC, our MPPT input range is 75 volts to 350 volts. Our max VOC, or max PV input voltage, is 380 volts. So we need, or we have a usable voltage from 75 to 350, and that's what we need from our string, in between 75 and 350. What we don't need from our string is any voltage at 380 or above. That is going to damage the MPPT inside this window type air conditioner. We still don't have any AC power, but we've connected our solar. So I can use this interface here, push the power button. Look at that. Celsius, let's change it to Fahrenheit. Temperature up and down buttons, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's showing Fahrenheit. Now we can adjust the fan speed from auto to low, medium, high. We can use our AC limiter function. We can go to mode and change from auto, cool, dry, and fan. Or we can use the app. Or we can use the wireless remote controller. If you want to download and use the app, you can scan the QR code right here on top of the unit cabinet. This is what the app looks like, Solar Aircon. Click on it, hit Add Device, and then you can click on the solar air conditioner. Hit skip if you don't want to make an account, and then it's going to say you need to power on the device, use the remote controller, and press the light button 8 or more times. So we've got the remote controller in our hand, we're going to hit the light button, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's a long beep you're going to hear. Click indicators flashing, next. Solar AC searching for Wi-Fi. You'll need to connect to your Wi-Fi network, so you'll need your password. Once you do that, hit next. It's going to load a blue ring. Solar AC added successfully. Now we're going to hit done. And look, we can see that we're using PV. Look at that. We're not using AC. We can pull this up, engage our AC limiter. We can change from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Look at that. Awesome. I brought a watt meter so I can see just how much electricity we're using when we're using AC power. Now, something you should not do that I'm going to do because I don't have a receptacle near this window is I'm going to use an extension cord. But you should never use an extension cord when you're installing this window unit to power this window unit. You should always just plug directly from this plug to your receptacle in your home. Plugging in our watt meter. All right, 124 volts, so we got enough voltage to power the unit. Now you can see we're starting to use some AC power. A little bit of AC power, a lot of PV power. Really cool that we can use both. How much watts from the AC are we actually using? 4. So it's not using much at all right now. Let's go disconnect the PV. Now I'm going to disconnect the PV. It's disconnected. Now you can see we're using a lot of AC and we're using no PV power. So 480 watts. And then look at that, we're using 565 right here. Now we're going to do a performance check. We're going to check the temperature split between the return air and the supply air. We should have around 20-degree split. So our return air is 64 degrees, looks like 64. Our supply air is 38. I'm measuring with a psychrometer. So 64 and 38, 64 and 44 would have been 20-degree split, but it's doing a lot better than that, and that's pretty impressive. What size is this window type AC? It's 12,000 BTUs. That's the cooling capacity. It will cool a room upwards of 600 square foot. Uses AC or PV. Now let me show you how to access the filter. Pull this forward. We can take our filter out, and then we can wash it and we can put it back in. Super simple. You may want to do it while the unit's not running, but it's easy to access. If you need a window unit and you want to reduce your electricity consumption, or you just don't want to use the grid, this is a perfect solution. EG4's window type solar air conditioner. This is awesome and serves many applications. I can think of so many, like sheds, cabins, tiny houses, anything where you want to be off grid. This is perfect for that. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and smash that bell. Ding, so you know what I'm doing. If you learned something in today's video, let me know in the comments what you learned. If you have a question, remember, questions can lead to new content. But if you don't have a question, that's okay. Let me know who you are and let me know where you're from. You've been watching Taddy Digest. I'm Tad, and I'll keep you cool if you let me.